power of love, the power of love. Come and listen to the stories that change the way that you see, the things that you hear will help you to feel empowered every day.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of The Power of Love, exploring the most powerful force on earth. And today we're also going to teach you how you can bring it into your life. I'm Saenz, your host, and with me is Trudy Stoner, our guest today. Welcome, Trudy.
Oh, thanks, Mia. Thank you for having me.
So one reason why and you all know that I love to talk about the people that I bring on because I think that it's very important. One reason I adore this woman is, it's so funny because besides myself, we both have the same concept that love is the most powerful, important thing on earth. And we've been working it. Well, now I'll talk about her. And she's been working it because this one's not about me. So she's been working love for a very long time in her life. And one thing that Trudy was saying to me that she believes, so we're going to blame her. I'm kidding. She believes that we are doing it wrong. I will agree with her. Humanity is so confused because of the way we were raised and brought up and move through this lifetime. There's so much pain and chaos. So it needs to be, as she says, rewritten. So yes, your love story needs to be rewritten within yourself and in your relationship. So did you want to add any more to that before we get talking about this beautiful power of love and what it means to humanity?
I think we can just dive in and it's probably going to come up on its own.
So, the terminology, the power of love, and being the greatest force on earth, it makes one think of like a giant wave or a volcano. And that's true too, right? I mean, that's part of Mother Nature doing its thing. But on the human side, so I guess going towards rewriting our story, on the human side, humans don't understand it. And so right away, I'm going to ask you, share with us your views on that. And then also let's do, like, if you can share 3 different tools on shifting that energy around or something that they can do to recreate their experience with love.
Beautiful. Well, I think that we're just confused because it's what we're taught. Like our parents are confused, our grandparents were confused. It's just something that's been passed on. And we are now like we're right at this cusp where there's this awakening, and it's almost like there's 2 camps. And there's sort of the old school belief systems about love, and there's that school of thought that you owe me something. Right? If you want to be in relationship with me, I show up with all sorts of like expectations and demands and this arrogance, if you will, that's like it's different than self-confidence, right? Because it's great to have boundaries, it's great to have self-love. But when we show up with sort of this attitude, do you remember, gosh, it's been 20 years, but do you remember there was a book that was called The Rules?
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh. This was written
it sounds funny or fascinating, depending
well,
on
it was written by a couple of women and it went completely viral. And it was all about things like, this is what he must do to win your heart. And boy, it was a long list. It was a really long list. And there was 0 about give and take. And so it was all take. It was all, what have you done for me lately? What are you going to do for me? What do you bring to the table? You need to, and there's a different energy about that. It's a demand rather than a beautiful dance where there's courtship, or there really is this like, let's fall in love and let's present our best selves so that we can really love each other. That energy comes from what I think you and I are so passionate about, which is the real energy of love. What is love really? Well, it is one of the highest vibrations in the universe. And it's a powerful force, but it's also a very loving, very kind, very benevolent. It's not judgment. It's not possession. It's not jealousy. It's not all of those things that we've come to say, oh, this is love. He's so jealous, but it's just because he loves me.
Mm-hmm.
It's not true. Like jealousy and possession and control has nothing to do with love and the energy of love. So I think the very first thing that we can do with the tools is that we can immerse ourselves in the energy of love. Like, what is love really? And you know, Mia, better than most. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual, but I am going to go straight to scripture here, because in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the most read scripture at any wedding, then just go look at that and read that from a perspective of in relationship, either if you're in relationship or you want relationship, or in your past relationships. Love is patient. Love is kind. Like I'm
pulling it up here while you're talking.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. Yes, and we can read it, because it's, if you use that as a roadmap, a blueprint, it will change your relationship with love, with others, with your, even the way that you understand love and how you show up. So that would be like the very first thing, is to really embrace that. What is love?
Should I read what it is?
Yes, please.
So it starts out with about speaking in tongues. So we'll go to the second paragraph. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy. So it's not envy. It does not envy, because it's an action, right? Love, it's that powerful. Wow. It does not boast. So I'm gonna cry here. It is not proud. It is not dishonor. It does not dishonor others. It does not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always preserves. And then the next paragraph, I'll read just the first line. Love never fails. Wow. That's really beautiful. I've never taken the time to actually read it. I've been married a couple times, so part of that was in there.
Yeah.
But wow.
Well, and you know, I have it on my wall as a reminder, because and it's become so habitual now, because I've taken it on and I've committed to it. So now any time that I start to feel something bubble up that doesn't feel like love, but sure feels justified, right? Because as human beings, boy, we can just like really get into our emotions and justify them. Yeah, but, right? Oh, I know all that, but he did this or she did this. And we get all self-righteous and we can justify just about anything. But when I look at that and I step back and I really hold it up like a mirror, is what I'm doing, is how I'm being, is it love? And it's a check system, and it'll set you straight very quickly. Yeah. Just the one sentence, love keeps no record of wrongs. How many of us can say that in any capacity, right? Whether it's the driver, you know, like we're upset at the driver, and like stop for a moment and just say, love keeps no record of wrongs. Are we like stockpiling a reserve and it builds up anger and resentments? None of that's loving. Right. It's human, but it's not love.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's going in our email.
Excellent.
It's incredibly powerful. I mean, the reason I joke at stuff or bring levity is because humans can't handle one or the other too much until they develop that skill. Mm-hmm. So it was just to break the energy, because this is really intense, powerful. Love is so intense and powerful. Right. And as you get down to the understanding it, there's a lot of emotions attached that are pure beauty weeping, or, you know, or we don't, some people don't know how to handle their emotions yet. So, yeah.
And it's a process too. And isn't that just a beautiful reflection of what love really is when we talk about self-love? Is to give ourselves grace and patience, and not to hold a record of wrongs like, oh, I blew it, or, oh, you know, and we're also building a case against ourselves as to how we did it wrong or we messed this up. No, that's not self-love. That's not love, right? We can be gentle and patient and graceful with ourselves and understand that it's an evolution. It's a process.
Yeah. Really, really lovely. You know, again, the words love is the greatest force on earth. When you said it's a process, and as you're talking, and also the image that you guys all see for this is a heart-shaped cave with a woman standing looking out. So I'm brought back again to love from your words, love being so powerful that I guess I'm identifying it with that space of natural beauty, right?
Yeah.
It's the way in which I'm able to absorb it within myself. So one thing that I love about love is when we teach it or we live it, right? It becomes who we are. Do you have, and I believe communication skills are incredibly important to learn for a decent, good relationship with yourself and with others. Is there anything you can share with us about something that you would say to somebody about, I'm going to say the gentleness of communication, but that's just my wording of it right now. But what would you share with somebody if they're trying to learn or understand that love is so valuable in their life and they've not been living that? How would you get them to focus in on their communication and love?
Well, the very first thing is I think we need to check in with ourselves, and we need to identify where and how are we showing up. Are we being love? One of the things that I say all the time is that it's much more than a mood. It's a state of being. And so before I would even take it into a relationship, you have to be able to center yourself in it first and identify, how am I showing up? Am I actually being love? And a lot of it will just unfold naturally, because as you enter into a state of being that is love, you're going to change. Your communication is naturally going to unfold in a gentler way. And if you're in partnership, your partner will notice. And so it may just present itself as something's different about you. You know, you seem softer. You're just happier. You're just more content. Like, what's going on with you? Especially if we've been in a habit of showing up in a place of fear. This fear is so defensive and reactionary and sharp and quick. And when someone softens and they elevate to love, because love and fear can't coexist, there's going to be some major transformation happening. And I think it kind of takes care of itself. And you'll be cued, you'll feel it, you'll feel nudged, you'll feel guided. Can we have a conversation? Because I feel like I've really been showing up in fear instead of love, and I want to change that.
It's beautiful, really beautiful. I adore Trudy. Well, I adore Trudy, but I adore Trudy's understanding of love. It's very pure. And I know you've worked very hard with yourself, or let's use the word diligent instead of hard. I know you've been very diligent. Is there a practice? I feel like there's something in you. And again, I see it with nature. So when I was quiet there for a minute, again, I don't know why with you, I keep seeing mountains and I keep seeing like that's where love is. And I know that it's not just in mountains. There's something that I'm feeling here with you as we speak. And I think it's, I channel when I work and I talk. So there's something really super deep there. I don't know if it was an experience you had or what it is, but I'm picking up on something really powerful.
Well, it's interesting because, gosh, it's been 24 years, but I went to Alaska and I lived there on and off for the last 22 years.
Wow.
So it wasn't a once and done. And what happened to me, this experience, is that as I was flying in and I'm looking out of the plane window at these mountains and these ice fields, I welled up in tears. And I had this deep, like, knowing that I was home. And I'd never been there before. And I've never lost that feeling ever. Each time I visit, each time I'm there. And I think that that was the spark. That was the awakening of my spiritual journey, because I very much resonated. And I actually had a coach do this with me many, many, many years ago, where she had me write down on a piece of paper all of my descriptive words about Alaska. And it was things like majestic and beautiful and like powerful and sacred, and it was like wild and fierce and all of these words. And she said, that's you. And I just cried because I resonated so much. It was like, oh my gosh. So I don't know, because I do know you channel and stuff, but I would say the moment the word mountains came out of your mouth, Alaska came into my head.
And I want to share something. It was about 3.5 years ago, maybe a little more. I woke up one day. I had taken my son my mom had passed in 2019, and I took my oldest son to Sicily, and I brought back early COVID. The incubation period was 75 days. But in that, from coming back from Sicily to LA, the family decided to come and live with my husband and I. That means all the kids came home. There's 3 of them. I have 2, and then one of them has his partner, and she and he came to live with us. And I woke up one day and I heard this voice, which is for me one of the aspects that I hear from the divine, from God. And it said, you can live anywhere in the world you want. And I was like, okay, here we go again. I get to get creative. And so I said to my kids, okay, this just came to me. What do you want to do? And they're like, yeah, let's check this out. So they opened up their laptop, and the first place they found, and we did it on Airbnb so that we could visit a place, see if we liked it, and then, before we landed there for good.
Yeah.
And so this island that I live on, Whidbey Island, came up as the first one. This house came up. Within an hour, it closed down. And I was like, oh my gosh, that just seemed perfect. I've always wanted to go to Washington. There's just something within me. And so we looked for 5 days all over the United States. And every time we would find a suitable place, that meant it had to have enough bedrooms to have the whole family there, and, things like that. And we wanted to be away from everybody. We felt that we didn't know the pandemic was coming, but we felt something was coming and we needed our space. And so every time it opened up, an hour later, every time it would close down. It would be, sorry, we changed our mind. We're not renting it, or somebody else, whatever. So on the 5th day, I said, well, I'm not listening. So apparently I'm not listening. So tomorrow when I wake up, we'll find it, because I'll be tuned in then. So we get up the next day and I say, okay, kids, it's time to look again. And they open up the computer and this place opens up. So we book it for 3 months to see how we like it. And a week later, only a week later, this is how fast things work. A week later, we were in our new home. And we all drove in caravan and everything, from California through Oregon to Washington. And it was so remarkable. The moment we got here, or each step, drive, mile, I felt I was coming to home. When you said that about Alaska being home and who you are, it was remarkable because there's deers walking through my yard and bunnies everywhere and all of this glorious, beautiful stuff, or the view of the harbor that I have. Love is this place is so strong that when I go anywhere else, I'm always remembering how beautiful it is and the spaces that touch my heart. And most people know that I had cancer and healed it, and then it came back, and then I healed it again. That's my short hair, guys. Last time I went medical. But I don't believe I would have made it if I wasn't here on this island. So when we listen to our earnest yearning calling, when we're body aware, when we're spiritually aware, this is the Trinity, the body, mind, and spirit, when it's all activated, when you're working your spiritual, when you're working your emotional, mental. So the mental, I consider the intellect, and then the emotional state of being. It's even in the amygdala where the emotions hang out. And then the body holds the information of trauma and everything else. When everything starts to get cleared and we're activated, we can create amazing things. That's why I guess I did see the power of Mother Nature when I said I see this mountain range, these mountains with you. It's really,
oh no, finish, please.
I was just going to say, it's just really incredibly powerful to listen to ourselves. And that's a skill that I want you all to develop, because that's where the depth of love is knowing how to listen to every still small voice until it becomes that loud voice that communicates with you.
Beautiful. Yeah. And if you think about it, as spiritual beings having human experience, like we are spirit, we're God, we're spirit, we're universe incarnate, right? And so we are that shared energy. It's just that as human beings, we also have emotions that can move that frequency up and down. And so we can get out of alignment with that energy, but we can also get back into alignment with that energy. And that's where I think nature plays such a role, because it's like a conduit that helps us. Like if we may be down, the frequency and the vibration in nature is going to be high, and it can help us elevate back up and come back into balance.
Yeah.
Which is why, when I'm feeling like very overwhelmed, or I'm going through a hard time, I lost my partner 2 years ago in an accident. The beach, the mountains, the woods, taking my shoes off, barefoot on a beach, that was so tremendously grounding and healing, because it was out of my head into my heart and just connected with an energy that isn't actually affected by those ebb and flows, right? Death is part of life, and it's a transition. And so my grief was a very human response, and my energy and my vibration would just plummet. But then when I could reconnect with the universe, reconnect with source through nature, it would be an automatic response that would bring me back up to center. And it helped with healing so much.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. Really beautiful. How can people reach you?
So probably the easiest way is my website, which is trudystoner.com. I have a very easy last name to remember. Either trudystoner.com or on Facebook, on Instagram, or you could actually email me as well, trudy@trudystoner.com.
Wonderful. This is really powerful. There's some nature element that I still keep coming up. We have a minute or two. There's I just got to show you guys. I don't know if I'll pull it, but there's a card from the Goddess Oracle that I love to use for creation. It's Pele. And I feel like even though you are a different earth element than Pele, Trudy, I feel that it's a very powerful card for you.
Wonderful.
And I've never done this on air before in an interview.
Mia, I feel like you and I are forging our own path, girl.
We are. And we have been. Oh, actually, this is really beautiful. It's not Athena that came. I'm sorry, it's not Pele, but it is Athena. So today's card for this reading is Inner Wisdom. So listen to your inner wisdom. Do you want to talk a little bit about that since you're my guest?
Oh my gosh. Inner wisdom, your intuition, we know. We just don't want to know. Sometimes it's, but isn't hindsight beautiful? Is there ever been a time that you can't look back and go, oh,
That's the thing.
I had that thing. I had an idea. It popped into my head. I ignored it.
Yeah.
And it's something that's a skill that can be developed. And I think that's the best news ever, because for me, learning to discern, like, is this fear or is this intuition? Because a lot of times, if I didn't want to listen, I would label it fear. Oh, I'm just worried, but it was intuition. And in hindsight, I knew the difference. And so sitting with yourself, getting quiet, meditation, soft music, focusing on your breath, getting out of your head a little bit, it'll start to develop more and more, and you'll just be able to fine tune this, like working a muscle almost, until it becomes, you got to work pretty hard for it to be second nature. It's not second nature for me. I still have to really ask and tune in. But here's the beautiful part. You can ask. Have you found that, like Mia? Like, I can ask for higher wisdom. I can ask for assistance. I can ask for help, either clearing or recalibrating. And there's always guidance and assistance there. Sometimes we just have to ask. So, like, trust your intuition, trust your higher wisdom, and ask for help.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. I did find the Pele card, and I have to say something very funny, but I am going to show it to you guys. I love Pele because it's about, for me, it's about using the energy of destroying and uncreating so that life and newness can come. And I heard, this is not Trudy. I heard that. And I thought, this is more her. This is, and then the next card was Pele. So they wanted me to know that shoved Pele on her. And it's not meant for her. She has her own magic. And that's part of love too, isn't it? Recognizing that we can't force something on someone else. It has to be who they naturally are.
Oh, yes. Yes. And their growth and their evolution, their development, if they have a spiritual awakening or if they don't, like, it's their journey. And when we truly love someone, don't we just, I talk and I teach about conscious coupling all the time. And conscious coupling is really the intention for, for me to support you in your highest good, whatever that looks like for you on your journey, and the same for me. And when you have a partnership like that, it's so much freedom, because it is just about the best interest of one another and the self, and you grow together. But it is complete, utter acceptance, right? Like, I love that word for love is acceptance, because so many times we want to change someone, or we tell them they have to do something differently to continue to keep or earn our love. And that is really important to understand, that it's important to be in alignment with your partner, right? And there's not a judgment here, that you can come out of alignment, and that's where you can consciously uncouple.
Yes.
So just because you're in a conscious coupling doesn't mean that everything that my partner does, if they choose to do something that just doesn't resonate, it's really out of alignment with me, I'm not in that relationship because, I'll accept anything that you do, any behavior. If it's out of alignment for me, it's like perfectly reasonable to move on. But when you're in that conscious coupling, there is this acceptance that says, I love you exactly as you are, and I really honor your journey.
It's beautiful. And also, conscious coupling is to remain independent as you come together as a couple. That's what people don't understand. You have to have your individuality in order to make the sparks fly when you come together.
That's right. Yeah.
very beautiful. Well, thank you. Is there anything else before we say goodbye to the audience that you'd like to send them away with?
You know, love is so powerful. And if it's our innate nature, but it's not innately taught. We show up and we are love. And then very quickly we start to witness and hear and observe and actually experience love as something that's outside of ourselves. And it's something we have to earn or we have to be good enough for. And I just want to leave you with the message that says that it is never too late to rewrite your love story. Never too late. And you can actually show up and be love. And there's lots of ways to do it. Mia can help you with it. I can help you with it. But align yourself with a guide, someone that can help you, because it's so worth it. It's like freedom, all caps.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Trudy. You're just always so beautiful. I just love being with you and love talking with you. All right, everybody. We'll see you in another episode. Have a great day.